Hello and welcome. It's a special presentation from In the Money Media. This is our show for the LRF Cares Charity Challenge, opening Saturday at Del Mar, July 18th. I'll tell you all about the contest as we get going here. But first, just introduce myself and my guest, Peter Thomas Fornatale, back with you from an Airstream in Sonoma, California, specifically Petaluma, California. Lots of good beer, lots of good wine as my trip up the coast continues. It's been fun though, I couldn't have done this in years of old where you physically had to be at the racetrack. There's only one place I'd be, or only a couple of places I'd possibly be today. Probably down at Del Mar, maybe back at Saratoga watching simulcast. These days, you can drive the Pacific Coast Highway, and except for those very annoying areas with dead spots, you just make the bets right on your phone. You can play this LRF Charity Challenge from your phone too. A man who knows something of what I speak, playing racetracks from everywhere in the world, including maybe one or two inappropriate places at times, joins us now. You know him for the work he does on the In the Money Plus side, InTheMoneyPodcast.com, various corners of the internet, and of course, in racing in his native Texas. Nick Tammaro, where are you today and what's going on, man?
Yeah, I'm in my native Texas. I'm in Selma, Texas at Retama Park, and I'm in a much more comfortable spot than it looks like you are. I thought you were in a cochette on a train in Europe or something.
That's the aesthetic they're going for here. It is basically
they nailed it.
A French themed glamping site. So this is an old Airstream. It's tiny, it's cozy, but it's going to be great for what we need. We're just basically sleeping here, and it's an excuse to sit at the little banquette in the middle and maybe pop a bottle of champagne, hopefully toasting a winner at Del Mar on opening day or this opening Saturday. I mentioned it at the top. LRF Charity Challenge. This is a contest we have been promoting heavily. It's the 7th year of this. We had Gary Fenton on earlier in the week talking about some of the Little Red Feather runners this week, and a couple of whom we'll be touching on this show. Contest costs $250, and this is a way to win your seat to the NHC, an event that Nick Tammaro has been to. Gosh, it's got to be double digits now. I'll let you fill in the blanks in a minute, but just want to let folks know, if you go to Horseplayers.com, you look for the LRF Charity Challenge. This one is full card for Del Mar on Saturday. I want to see a lot of familiar names on the leaderboard there. Give me your current history with the NHC. How many times have you made it there to Vegas?
I am 8 times 2 cash. Okay. So haven't been as much lately because I've been so busy, but looking to get back as soon as possible. So this is a great way to do it for people that are in the area and want to play. And obviously an outstanding card of racing. The racing at Del Mar is tremendous, so it's great to have it back.
They do such a good job.
Yeah, my picks will be available daily on Twin Spires, so keep great up and just picked a 5-1 winner. In fact,
not too bad. Not too nice to get those on opening day. Start to be right. I guess that's right with your work schedule, and especially with the NHC moving to its March schedule. That's why I was guessing it must have been at least a 10-12 year time period you've been going to the NHC. But hey, cashing twice is more than a lot of people can say, that's for sure. But of course, it's not about what we've done in the past, Nick. It's about what we're going to do in the future, and you're only as good as your next one. And for us, the next ones are going to be this Del Mar card. I looked at the last 6 races. I'd say we can go over those, but I did want to ask you, did you have anything strong, anything to mention in the first 5 races on the card?
Yeah, 5th race, I think the 8B Grayson is interesting. Val Brinkerhoff trainee taking a big class drop, 4-1 on the morning line. So, not any kind of long shot play, but a horse that's cutting back in distance, in light again. I love that sprint effort, 2 back, sitting just off the pace and kind of powering home. I think there's going to be plenty of tempo in here to get this one going. And the barn has limited starters cutting back on dirt, but I'm not really all that worried about that. I think it's just a matter of a horse getting back to what they do best. And so I'm looking forward to trying to get B. Grayson home here at what should be a pretty square price.
The 8 in race number 5, maybe to anchor that early pick 5, and we'll get to our originally scheduled programming with race number 6, where we're going to talk about these 2-year-old Calbreds on the dirt going the flying 5. I thought that net par looked like the one here, Nick. Outermost drawn speed, that's an angle I like. I also love just the angle of horses that get bet on debut and have issues at the break. They'll often show a lot more early foot and improvement second time out. I like the 9 net par in race 6. Who do you like?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of horses that have started, you're really drawn to this one. 1 off 9 to 5 on debut, which is real action for a barn that doesn't really get it generally, that being the barn of Antonio Garcia. What threw me off a little bit about this, Pete, was that, and perhaps it's just a matter of this being a relatively ordinary horse. But I looked at the workout report, and this is a horse that had gotten a B+ workout prior to his debut, and he's gotten 2 C+ as of late. The comment the last time in the DRF clock report is got crushed at the end of this gate drill by the Loan Exchange. So obviously not something you want to see in terms of overall performance in that workout. With that said, I mean, I still picked him second. I tried the 4 Golden Club, a son of Clubhouse Ride, who's a 10% debut sire. This one's a half to Turf Winner Ride Gold, which obviously that doesn't mean quite as much, but reportedly training okay, and this is a barn that's capable of having one ready on debut. I do like the gate drill back on July 9th, and I think that shows some level of readiness. So, I mean, in terms of a multi-race play, I would just be using the 4 and 9.
4-9 for Nick there to start off the pick 6. Some of the terrific information gives you a little bit of insight into the extra work Nick is doing. And if you're an In the Money Plus subscriber, we've got Nick's notebook for Saratoga there daily. Just a good sample of the kind of work that he's doing so you don't have to. Let's move on to race number 7, where we've got a turf allowance going 1 mile and 1/16. This one, this was a spreadier spot for me, Nick. I put the 6 runner Centro Delantero on top. Hard-trying Sword, who I thought cost a tough field to the level last time, and I thought would appreciate maybe the slightly easier test. And then just not at all creative, but just horses who leapt out on figures. The 4, Paxel Wallop really fits. And one other idea I had to throw in with those 2 super logicals, the 4 and the 6, was the 8 Midnight Strike. The angle being maybe taken a little bit out of the element, being as close as he was last time, and just looked like one to me who could go better in a more truly run race. And I think that's what this will be. I was 6, 4, and 8. How do you see it?
Yeah, I mean, people are going to find it hard to believe, but I picked this race 6, 8, 4. So we see it very, very similarly. And you know, I wrestled with a few different horses in here. I wanted to try the 2 El Rey a little bit, but ultimately couldn't quite get there. And I agree completely with what you said about Centro Delantero. This is a real class drop. That was a much better group of horses he ran against last time. We're going to see a number of horses out of that race run between Friday and Saturday, with Detain and Charlie's to Blame running on Friday. Ironman Cal's actually running on dirt in the San Diego, which we'll talk about in a couple of minutes. But I thought Centro Delantero was a little bit out of position in there. I want to bet in general on this turf course horses that can be forward. I want to bet pressing, stalking types. I think you want to be real careful about going with any kind of deep closers. I do think there are opportunities when you can try it, when it does look like a pace heavier field. But he looks like he'll have exactly the right kind of running style. I think the 4 Paxel Wallop is the horse to beat. He's had a lot of local success. He's the main speed on paper. And Joel Rosario is really tough when he's on the lead on the turf. So I'm looking forward to that horse running well, coming back off a little break for John Sadler, whose barn over the first couple of days looks like it's got a lot of live shots.
Plenty of agreement so far. Let's see if it continues in the Grade 2 San Diego. The concept, I hear this in the UK more than I hear it here, but it's a good concept. A cliff horse. A cliff horse is the horse you'd follow off a cliff, and I think I'm ready to do that with our old pal Journalism. This just looks like a great spot for his return to the races, both in terms of quality of opposition, given what he's been facing. This is easier, and also setup. I'm hoping that Full Serrano breaks cleanly this time, goes around there with Miramati, sets it up perfectly for Journalism's run, and gets the job done. I was going to use Miramati as my lone backup in terms of some of my horizontal play, under the theory that sometimes with a horse like Full Serrano, when they develop gait issues, sometimes they stick around. If he doesn't break and Miramati's out there doing his thing on the front end, I mean, sure, Journalism could run him down, but especially in that instance, I wouldn't mind having a little bit of 2 on my tickets. Journalism, are you with him or against him?
Oh, totally with him. I mean, I'll honestly be very surprised if he loses this race. This is just a classic step down in competition, right? I mean, this, you know, people are too focused on the fact that he's lost his last 4 starts and not focused enough on who they've been against. And the reality of it is that he has not gotten significantly better, if better at all, as a 4-year-old. And the problem is some of the 4-year-olds have. Right. And that's the issue that you run into. It's true of any sport. When you have year-to-year growth and development in different athletes, whether it's equine or human, some are going to develop better than others. And I think that's the case here, in that Magnitude's gotten better, Baez has gotten better. He and Sovereignty really haven't. And while that was good enough to be a main player in the 3-year-old division last year, it's not really good enough to be a main player in the handicap division this year. So I think this is a classic case where you're trying to get him a little bit of confidence back. I fully expect him to win this race. Honestly, even if Miramati got loose, I'd still be surprised if he loses. It's a good sign Michael McCarthy won 2 early races on Friday's card as well. So he's off the duck very quickly, ×2. And I think he's going to have this one ready to go. I think from a betting perspective, and this is not influenced at all by our friends at Little Red Feather, I would try and squeeze Ironman Cal into the exacta, because it's a really fascinating move. This is a horse that's always had some talent, and now they're trying dirt. Presumably he's trained very well over it. That's what the Clocker reports say as well. So why not try a cold 5-4? I think if I bet intra-race, that's what I'll be doing.
I like that idea. And we did talk to Gary, of course, about this decision. They did it successfully a couple of years ago with switching one of their turf runners over to dirt. Was it Midnight Storm, who ended up with like a big second? And Tammaro is good with this move. I mean, when they decide to do this, it's not just throwing stuff up against the wall to see what sticks. There's some thought behind it. I don't mind that idea one bit of putting him in there behind the big horse for an exact. And I love your confidence in journalism's ability to overcome pace situations in here, just because beyond a better, I'm just a huge fan of the horse. I mean, it was so great last year seeing him dance those dances so effectively and keep going and still being a good horse. Just, like you said, he's had the misfortune of running into some having better days, if not maybe just a little bit better. We'll see a lot more as the season goes on. Let's hope he gets back to winning ways in the San Diego as we move to the second of our graded stakes for the 3-year-old fillies. Grade 2, San Clemente this time around. I will let you be the leader in this one. Who's going to get the job done?
Yeah, I like ground support quite a bit here, coming in from Churchill, who ran in the Tepin last out off a long layoff, returns to the site of her best race to date in that third place finish last year in the Breeders' Cup. Looks like the main speed from the inside as well. I thought 5-1 was really appealing on this horse. I'm not sure if we'll get it when all is said and done, but second off the layoff should be a situation where she takes a step forward. And what you love to see in the Thorograph numbers is that she got a 7 last out after an 8 in the Breeders' Cup. So clearly a forward move, not only paired up the best 2-year-old figure, but bested it narrowly. That's usually a big springboard to a large number. And I think she's going to do it here. I think the firm turf affinity also matters. It was a little bit of a spongier course last out, and I think she was a little outmoved early, but I don't think anybody's going to keep her from getting there. I thought the play here was to use her over the 2 horses to her inside, maybe a little bit heavier on the 2 Wild Like the West, who I thought was a little bit more compromised by the trip last out, trying to move early and in a little bit tight in upper stretch before reaching toward, almost the front, and the race collapsing a little bit late. And the 1 Rating Party, who was made the morning line favorite, I don't really know if this horse can end up taking more money than ground support, but obviously she's been very good, including a very impressive maiden win last year at Keeneland and 2 good allowance efforts this year. So I thought the Invaders and a little bit of Wild Like the West were all I wanted.
I definitely get both of those Eastern shippers heading out. Let me ask you something, because you mentioned Thorograph. I didn't look at Thorograph for this, but I was imagining Rating Party's last win. Here's what I wrote about it. The speed figure does not tell the story of number 1 Rating Party's last win, where she was wide throughout and yet never looked like losing. And, of course, I noted that she had the turf form shipping West Angle. Did she get extra credit for that race on Thorograph? Was that a particularly strong figure? It was a rather average buyer, I thought, given how impressive the race was visually. I'm curious if it showed up in the numbers on there.
Yeah, her 3 numbers go 10, 9, 7, so a 7 last out, same as ground support. I think maybe class-wise it was considered a obviously significantly lesser race than a race like the Tepin, but no doubt about it. Rail was way out that day too, and she still performed very well. So, no, definitely a threat here.
I have the 1 and the 3 in the mix, but I actually put, and again, no, not just kissing the butt of the sponsor, but I like Peanut Butter Bomb's last race a lot. I love that sweet little move up into the race, which she made before being asked, and then I also really like the way she quickened up nicely to get to the wire. There's only been 1 run back from that race. It was the last place finisher, and she came back to win. This is a big step up in class for Peanut Butter Bomb, but I like her as much as I like the dessert that they make across the street from some of the co-owners here. I give her count despite that other serious opposition. Do you think she's just going to be a little bit up against it class-wise, or can you see her for split?
Yeah, I mean, the question is whether these West Coast-based fillies class up to the Eastern half, and I think ground supports and Rating Party are better. But I agree. I mean, Peanut Butter Bomb was very unfortunate to lose the Blue Norther in her second career start. She should have won that day, quite honestly. And then she came back with a really dull effort that I guess she erased the bad memories of in that good run winning the one other than last out. Now comes off Lasix, did get a number last out that would definitely put her in the mix. I don't worry as much about these types coming off Lasix, given that she ran well without Lasix earlier in her career. She's been outworking Inbox of late, another Phil D'Amato trainee who was just second in the honeymoon. So all signs point to her being ready. And, we know how much these connections cherish winning at Del Mar. So I would expect a big shot. I would have picked her fourth if I had made 4 picks.
Let's go to race number 10. We've got a dirt allowance at the mile. Nick, we'll keep it with you.
I like the 7 Pure Madness in here. I'm a little concerned about how much speed there is, but I like Brian Corner's numbers, turf to dirt. The workout reports on this horse are outstanding. And I think when you pick apart this dirt form a little bit, it's very good. I love the turf sprint to maybe build some conditioning back off the long layoff. Ran a good race that day behind the old 9, who's a classy veteran. But those 2 dirt races, the Real Good Deal and the one other then for Calbreds, both very, very strong efforts. Numbers-wise, put this horse right in the mix. And I don't mind the pace situation as much because he's outside of the other speed. So I think he's going to get a great stock and pounce trip. I think we'll get a pretty fair price as well. So it was Pure Madness for me on top. In terms of other contenders, I thought both the 2 and 4 merited some consideration. Berlin Wall and Magnify, each sort of late running types that look like they'll fully benefit if there's pace on. So that to me was kind of the insurance policy if things quicken up and that negatively affect Pure Madness. I think my biggest opinion in this race, Pete, outside of believing I want to bet Pure Madness to win, is that I don't want any part of the 3 Farron, who's going to take a real amount of money in here. This horse was 3-5 on debut, won in very ho-hum fashion at Los Alamitos, and something you wouldn't expect to have ever heard 1, 2, 3, 5, 10 years ago. Bob Baffert's been opening day at Del Mar at Ellis Park.
Yeah. It's
unfathomable.
It's very strange. It's a brave new world or something like that. We have the same core opinion of trying to beat Baffert's favorite. We just went about it a slightly different way. I went with the 8-runner Clouseau, has run fast races in the last 2 and shown some finish. I think Clouseau might have the right blend of early and late speed to get a second flight kind of, or maybe mid-pack closing trip. And I do think there's plenty of speed. Of the speeds, the one that I want is Pure Madness. I love that run in what was the Real Good Deal stakes last year when it was a speed track and slow for actions and still came running. That one's clearly going to move off the 2-year layoff and should be in the mix. And I might throw in Vitruvian Man for a penny too, playing it for a collapse, because obviously an easier spot than the last time trying a Golden Tempo and company. I just hope that they use hold-up tactics, and then maybe they can come running late and get at least a little bit of a piece. I had it 8, 1, and 7 in race number 10. Let's move swiftly along to our nightcap. We head back to the turf. We've got 3 and up maidens going a mile. When it comes to the LRF Cares Charity Challenge, sign up today at horseplayers.com. Nick, how are we going to get paid?
Yeah, I was pretty Captain Obvious here. I mean, I think Kokok is going to win this race and feel like he's the main speed, stretching back out, quick pace last out, really good run 2 back when second to Sharon Sparrow. Looks to be coming in the right way. Phil D'Amato is just loaded for these first couple of cards, and I imagine will make multiple trips to the winner's circle. He also has the 4 Yep, who I think is a little dangerous as well. First time in North America. Good numbers for D'Amato doing that. This is a horse that's performed well on turf and synthetic overseas. I thought the 3 Conquer We Must was one I wanted to include. Did make up real ground on debut, somewhat within range of a relatively strong pace early in that race as well. Looks like one with a little bit of upside on the stretch out. So I picked it 6-3-4. I'd probably want to end most things mainly 6 and a little bit of 3-4 and keep it somewhat simple.
I was Team D'Amato as well. I had the 2 runners, but I had them in the other order. I just thought Yep had that live-looking Euro appearance, and I just thought the rest of the field was kind of modest. But I'm not losing to that stablemate Coco, especially with potential pace advantage. I just think it's as simple as D'Amato and move on for me. But I will take another look at your what was the other runner you mentioned number wise?
The 3, yeah. Keep an eye on Later Than Planned in the Oceanside today. Has been the workmate of late for Yep. Or I'm sorry, for Yep, who he was he was slightly second best to Later Than Planned, which is no big deal given that Later Than Planned should be a real contender in the Oceanside today.
Yeah, it's a loaded Oceanside. It's fun.
Really good
Thank
race.
you, Nick, for jumping in here and doing this Saturday Del Mar card in the middle of the Friday opening day card. Going to be a lot of great racing from Del Mar. We're going to have a lot of it covered for you over at In the Money Media. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Make sure you check out the website. Dean Kepler pick so many winners out there in themoneypodcast.com. That's going to be free analysis all the time. We'll have a ton of stuff on the free side, on the YouTube and podcast side. We've also got Adam DeCepolo doing his Del Mar diary this year. Proof once again, Nick, that you don't have to be Italian American to work here, but it doesn't hurt.
It certainly makes you smarter.
Nick, appreciate you. Appreciate everybody out there for watching. Drop us a comment. Give us your best bet on this opening Saturday Del Mar card. And make sure you go to horseplayers.com and sign up for the LRF Charity Challenge. Today, for Nick Tammaro, I'm Peter Thomas for Natal. May you win all your photos.